Welcome back. I'm your host Mando of the Real Estate Deli, where we cut through the noise and deliver actionable insights straight to you and make information the star. This episode of the Real Estate Deli, we were on location in Kalispell, Montana. Yes, Kalispell, Montana. This is a place where I never thought I would be at, but we were there for a community camp with Pace Morby and Jerry Norton. Shout out to them. Shout out for their hospitality. It was an incredible experience. If you ain't been there, you gotta go. I'm telling you, it was a great place to be with nature. That's for sure. So this episode, we were fortunate enough that someone in the community found a deal, let's say, for someone he met on a flight that he connected with that in the prison ministry space. So that resonated to him. So he said, let me find an opportunity here in Kalispell for them because they were looking for a property. He connected with someone else in the community, Jose. Shout out to Jose. Something that, they created something out of nothing. They found a deal. They spoke to the broker agent. They made an appointment. And lo and behold, Jerry Norton, I don't know how Tommy did it, but Jerry Norton happens to be involved in the deal. Let me tell you what happened. So Tommy, I guess, connected with Jerry. Listen to that, Tom and Jerry, right? It was meant to be. And Jerry obliged to come out and speak to the agent. So that was an incredible experience. So I happened to be on the ride along with them. So this is kind of a short video describing the ins and outs, how you negotiate a property and how you position yourself to be an authority in the space, and how you also give value to an agent who's actually showing the space. So it's, building a relationship out, not maybe just for this deal, but later on down the line. And at the end, we had a recap, and this is probably a 25-minute video describing our experience with Jerry and the crew. It was about 6 of us. So again, shout out to Jerry for being out there with us and showing us the ropes. Thanks again, Jerry. And here it is. Enjoy.
Yeah, so what I was saying is always anchor low, right? So best case is the seller says yes. Right. Worst case is he says, no way, go plane traffic, go pound sand. Yeah. In between would be he counters somewhere nearby.
Sure.
And if he counters somewhere nearby, anywhere in the low 3s, this doesn't mean we don't have a deal.
Right.
What it means, though, is we got to put a different hat on and look at a different exit. Because let's say he comes back at 315, 320, even 350. Right. There might be a buy and hold guy that'll buy this for 365 and he wants to rent it for 1,700. Right. Because if you think about the spectrum, you've got flippers down here, you've got retail up here. At the top of the market is retail, at the bottom of the market is flippers. Well, buy and hold are somewhere in between. I mean, they're almost up here actually, right. Because they would do nothing. If I was going to rent that, I would do nothing. Right. Nothing. I don't even think I would paint. I don't think I'd do anything. I would just put a for rent sign out. Right. So a landlord would do the same thing. So if he can get it where it's cash flowing,
right,
then they'll buy it and they'll pay a lot more. But I don't want to go in there because if I can get it at 285,
sure,
we may still take it to a landlord.
Right.
But now we're taking it to them at 350 and we're going to make 45 or whatever we can make, right? So I always want to go in and start at the bottom and then go from there. So, and then we can also come back and say, well, what if she comes back and says, hey, they'll consider creative.
Right.
What are your terms? Okay, well then now we'll get out a spreadsheet, we'll run some numbers, we'll throw the rent in there, and we'll play around with interest rates, and we'll go back with an offer.
So this should probably be a hybrid if we do creative.
Oh, for sure.
Because it's there's actually, I looked it up.
No, but she said no. Okay, maybe she's wrong, but
yeah. If prop stream was right, I'll put it to you that way.
Okay.
Yeah. There was a 77K.
Yeah. So it could be, but that could also be where it got paid off or something. But whatever. So if it is, then one way that they might come back is they might say, I want $100,000 down.
Right.
So then he pays off that. But ideally what we would do is we'd want to be down with very low. So the way I wholesale creative is I want to think about that entry fee.
Right.
And in that entry fee, we've got closing fees. We don't have a commission probably because it sounds like the seller will pay that. So we'd have closing fees and then his down payment. So if that could be at like 10%, ideally,
Right.
then we could throw our assignment fee on there and get it to 15% and throw a 20K assignment on there or whatever it might, I got to run the numbers, but
Sure.
then we take that to the same landlord and we wholesale it.
Okay.
So I wholesale a lot of creative
Gotcha.
because these buyers here that want to add this to their portfolio will eat that up if it's a decent creative finance deal.
Right.
Because if the terms are good, they want them, they don't have to qualify for a new loan or any of those other strategies. So, and if they go conventional to buy this for a rental, you got to put 25-30% down.
Yeah.
So if we come in and say you can pick this up for 15% down and it's got a decent rate, they're paying 8 or 9 right now with
Bam.
conventional. If we get it at 5 or something,
Take it.
Bam,
people will take it. It'd be easy to resell.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
If the numbers work, I might even buy as a rental.
I mean, people want rentals. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's right down the road. Be easy to monitor.
Yeah. Be easy to add. So see, that's sort of the mindset there. Now, what are some big takeaways? What did you gather with the conversation?
So you always ask them, like, what would you do?
Yeah.
Right? Instead of, so you not in your mind, you knew what you were going to do anyway, but you got them thinking about, okay, that needs to be fixed, that needs to be fixed.
Right.
Right? So
Already
I
coming
think
down that
they're
way.
already saying, okay, they're telling themselves that, okay, that needs to be fixed, that needs to be fixed. So you're unconsciously they're already doing that subtraction for you.
It's that, and whenever you show value in somebody else's expertise,
Right.
it lowers their guard and it builds more trust. Okay. So when you say to her, "What do you think it'll sell for? What do you think the repairs are? What would you do?" Then what I'm doing is I'm showing her that I respect your knowledge as an agent in this market. Now I may not agree with anything she says.
Right.
Validating her
Yeah.
in ways.
So, and then maybe she brings up ideas. Maybe so. In my mind, what I had in my calculator 450, and I said, "What do you think this would sell for?" And she said 450. Now, if she would have said 529, I would have been like, I probably would have said, "Now, where are you getting that number? Like, what's making you feel like that number? Can you show me that value?" There's no comps that say that, right? So I would question it, but I'm always asking. Now, if she said the most you could get for this thing would be 425, then I'd be like, okay, why do you think it can't get more than that?
Right.
So then it's all about questions, right? Follow. Really doing this business well is about asking the right questions at the right time,
Right.
and then usually with the right tone. So I'm curious or confused.
And that was something that I caught too, because right at the beginning, it's been sitting on the market. This is a great property.
Why isn't it selling?
Why isn't it selling? And I was like,
Now she
and I
could.
went like this. Like he brought that up pretty toward the beginning of the conversation.
right
That was
away.
interesting.
Yep. And I asked about this. Now she kept saying this is not an issue, not an issue. I don't know if she's right. Maybe she's right.
Right.
My experience has been when you're this close to a school, it's an issue.
Sure.
But
Especially to
I
the
feel like
buyer.
she was honest. I don't, her broker's right there with her.
Right.
So I don't think, if it really was an issue, I think she would have said, yeah, people are concerned about it. That's why it's not selling. I think she would have said that.
Yeah.
But you never know. Like, don't ever assume that agents are going to be truthful, honest, or that they know what they're doing.
Right.
So you always have to, you're going to get all variety of things. So I'm also trying to like sniff out, okay, how knowledgeable is this agent about the market?
Right.
And so I like to go in, like if I'm ever going to go on an appointment, even when I call, I want to spend a few minutes, do my homework so that I can have an intelligent conversation. I want to be able to talk about comps.
Right.
I want to have an idea of what I think needs done on repairs based on pictures. And so in my mind, I'm there, but then I'm asking her, one, again, it validates it. And two, I'm also resetting her mind to be low. So then I ran the numbers with her.
Yeah.
Right? I said, okay, we need to be at 70% all in for this to work as a flip. Here's why. We have financing costs, we have closing and commissions, and we want to make a little bit of money. So that's why we're at 70%. And then we have to back repairs out to get to our buy number. Like I basically explained to her the fix and flip formula. Now again, I'm looking at this as a wholesale, but you don't talk about wholesale, you talk about either flipping or renting.
Yeah.
Because that's the exit, and all we're doing is putting the deal together to take it to an exit.
Yeah.
So you notice I didn't say a word about that we're wholesaling. Now,
No.
I might say,
That word.
if she said to me, "Are you a wholesaler?" I would say, do you mean, do I sometimes assign the contract?
I do it all the
Yes, we do that sometimes. Yeah, sometimes we buy it and flip it. Sometimes we rent it. Sometimes we pass it off to our investors or partners.
Right.
But I still never say the word wholesale.
I just sound when you close in different entities. You know?
Yeah.
Or a different
So-
strategy.
Yep.
I
So I'll
work
say
on
every time I said it to her, I said, I don't know what entity we would buy this in,
Yep, I heard that.
so I need that flexibility.
Yeah.
Now, what I just said to her was, I'm going to have an and/or signs in my contract,
Yeah.
or I want the flexibility to assign it,
Yeah.
right?
That's pretty
And she got that.
Yeah.
Nothing's weird about that. All investors buy in entities. So if you focus on, I don't know how I'm going to take title, that's your way of saying, I want the flexibility to change who the buyer is,
Right.
without saying wholesaling or assignment.
Speaking that language.
Yeah, well,
Hopefully
what
she
you're
would
doing is
understand.
you always try to avoid unnecessary objections. I see so many people, they create objections. It's like, well, what value did it bring by you telling her that you're going to wholesale it? It brings no value.
Right.
All it does is provide uncertainty.
Yep.
Because in her mind, she's thinking, well, what if you can't find a buyer? You're going to back out of the contract.
Yep. Flakiness comes in.
Yeah, flaky. And then also, now, not everybody can do what I did in there, where I waived all the stuff. Now, I would never do that if I didn't feel confident in the numbers.
Right.
So don't ever do that, right? Because if you don't feel good about 285 and you waive contingencies and you give a 5,000 earnest money, you better either figure out how to close on it and buy it, or be okay to lose $5,000.
Yeah.
And I don't care how much money you make, you don't ever want to lose $5,000. There's no reason where you'd do that.
Right.
So, so I wouldn't have been so aggressive with the terms had I not seen it, felt good about it, already ran numbers.
Right.
So then I can come in aggressive. And the only reason why I'm coming in that aggressive, is I don't think he has a lot of urgency.
Right.
So why in the heck would he take 285 cash if he can wait and get a buyer for 375 or 275? Or no, 375, because they're at 399.
Because you got a wife to say
And he might.
none.
Like, honestly, guys, I think there's about a 5% chance that we get this deal. It's that low. Why? Why would you say that?
He would sit there and wait.
They already had 3 showings at
Yeah.
399.
Then he's going to wait for top buyers.
I mean, I would. Wouldn't you? Unless I need the money now, I would wait.
Yeah.
Unless he's
Doesn't
in
have
a
that
hurry.
urgency.
doesn't
Yeah,
wanna-
unless he's in a hurry. So remember, distressed real estate is only 5% of the market.
Right.
So of all the transactions that go on every month, only 5% of them are distressed real estate. The other 95 are people trying to get the highest price they can,
Right.
and they'll hold out until they do.
Right.
So I'm guessing, since it's an investor, that he's going to laugh at our offer.
Right. Well, she also touched on the motivation part that they both just retired and they kind of want to go travel. So
She was not afraid of it. Like, did you see? I'm always.
I think she likes
So
it.
when you make that low, when you say 285 and it's at 399,
Yeah.
just be quiet. And she was like, okay.
Yeah.
She didn't balk at it. See, the thing is when you create certainty and when you come across credible, your low offer is not offensive.
Confidence.
Yeah, but if we would have walked in there and she'd be like, these guys don't know what they're doing, they're flaky, I don't know if I like these guys, I don't know if I trust these guys, I don't know if they know what they're doing, I don't know if they're for real, and then you throw out 285, it's laughable, it's offensive now,
Yeah.
right? She would have been offended by that. She would have said to us, look guys, we're wasting our time. But in 10 minutes, it doesn't take a long time, in 10, 15 minutes, we built enough rapport to where she's like, okay, I'll present that. I'm not afraid to call and make that offer.
Right.
And Jerry, can you just touch on your rapport building thing, your BRT process, I believe it is, right?
Yeah, I call it build relationship of trust. It's a couple things. It's, you want to walk in there and sound like you know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about things that make sense.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't make sense for us to talk about, maybe the offer until we first show her that we're here to get our head around it.
Mm-hmm.
And that means, okay, what needs done? Do I like the floor plan? Is this a concern? Is that a concern? What would we fix up here? What would be the price? So
Right.
see, I'm doing all of that.
Yep.
It's sort of, and then I even asked them, like, what's going on with the seller? Like, would they entertain a cash offer?
Yep.
Is that something that would be appealing to them?
And that goes into the 4 pillars when you start asking those questions, correct? Of
So your
price,
4 pillars,
motivate.
always know your 4 pillars, right? Your 4 pillars are, is there some sort of distress going on?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there is.
Right.
So that's hurting us.
Right.
Is there urgency?
Yeah.
Maybe, because they want to retire. And this seller might be like, close in 2 weeks, all cash, no contingencies. I don't got to deal with buyers falling out. I don't got to deal with appraisals. I don't got to deal with. Let's do it.
Right.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Right. So some sort of distress going on. Usually it's financial. Urgency, meaning they want to get it done fast.
Yeah.
Distress, a little bit of distress.
A little bit. Yeah.
Not not enough.
Right.
See, I wish it was more distressed,
Yeah.
because then that would just justify. Sometimes a dated property hurts you so much because you're still going to spend the same money, but it looks okay. So therefore, people
Right.
don't assume it's as bad as it is.
Right.
Whereas, like, I would rather it was those bathrooms were gutted to the studs,
Right.
because then it would be scary, but it would cost us the same whether it's that way or gutted.
And it might even be a little cheaper because you don't have to demo it.
Demo, yeah.
Right.
So see what I mean? Sometimes that hurts you if it's dated but clean because your rehab's the same number.
Right.
Yeah. So see, these are just some dings against us. And then the fourth one is, will they take a discounted price?
Yeah.
Now, usually if 2 out of the 4 are there, we can get a deal done.
Right.
Ideally 3 out of the 4, and the one that's missing is price. Meaning they want $399, they're listed for $399, but they'll take $285. So price is a deceiver. I never actually pay any attention to price.
Right.
Ignore it.
Oh, okay.
Because if the other 3 things are there,
Yeah.
usually price will come down.
Okay.
Like they'll take a low price.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you got all the other distress going on. Right?
Right.
You got urgency. There's something going on in their life where they need the money, and the conditions poor.
Right. Okay.
Right. So
Perfect.
those are your 4 pillars. And then, so we're up against a lot. Like, but again, this is why we don't ever get emotionally attached.
Right.
Like, we'll walk out of here knowing that, hey, maybe we get a deal done or not. But if I have conversations like that 5 times a day,
That's
you're
awesome.
doing deals.
Right.
You're doing, if you have conversations like we just had,
Yeah.
and you do 5 of them a day, maybe
Yeah.
not in person.
Yeah.
I mean, that's great, but 5 quality conversations a day, then you're doing 3 to 5 deals a month. Not right away, but in time, you'll have enough of a pipeline.
Right now,
Yeah,
I'm
you'll
still
have the
pushing my
compound
walk
effect.
up the hill.
Yeah, it's always that way. Yeah, yeah.
You know, another question I thought of, with the MLS, agents can add their buyers onto the MLS to view properties and stuff like that, so you can see all the back documents and stuff. Have you ever dealt with that? And have you ever seen that be beneficial when going on appointments and looking at these houses?
But, meaning your cash buyers or who?
No, so there's one agent here in the Valley that she gave me access to her MLS stuff, so I can go on and read all the documents and all that type of stuff. Have you ever dealt with that? And have you seen that
so
be
they're just
beneficial
giving you-
from your end when
They're giving you
going?
limited MLS access. And
Yeah.
checking boxes so you can see certain things.
Yep.
I mean, not really, because I could ask for that or they could give it to me, but ultimately, I don't want to compete on market. The whole reason why we met her was not to compete with the market.
Right.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. We want her bringing us off
Yes.
market.
Yes.
That's the only value in this whole thing. I mean, maybe we get the deal, but again, 5% chance we get a deal. 95% chance she calls us with a deal later,
Yeah.
off market.
Yeah.
So that's why we actually
I
do
think
it.
the rapport there was good.
And there's 100% chance I'm going to be weekly following up with her.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
no,
Right.
dead
So-
serious. She has random texts. That's what I do.
What I found is if you have 25 to 30 really good double dip relationships with agents in a market,
Yeah.
you're doing deals every month. It takes about 25 to 30 where they get it, they buy in. So the new language is awesome. I love the new rules with buyer's agents. I love it.
You gotta sign an agreement.
Because I said to her, when you sit down with a seller, tell the seller you don't have to worry about my commission.
Right.
My buyer's taking care of it. And then come to us and tell us what number you want.
Right.
You want 10%? Fine, we'll pay 10%. Now we're going to build it into our price.
Yeah.
We'll pay you 20%. We'll pay you whatever you want. If you get the deal at the number I need to be at, this is amazing that we get all that flexibility now
Yeah.
to
Always
pay
an
whatever
upside.
we want. So think about her value add. She sits down with the seller and says, my commission's covered. Don't worry about it. That's huge.
Yeah, and you could build in, like
She
you say,
breaks
you
that out
build it in.
first. That'd be awesome.
And you already know what you want. And
So
she
we
wants her
need
numbers. She's
her,
going to be
we
aggressive.
need her excited about going on distressed real estate appointments. Excited. Like, what they used to do is say, dude, I don't even want to deal with that. I'm not even going to go on that appointment. Or they'll get there and they'll be like, hey, blah, 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 and walk out like they don't want it. Because for an agent to sell distressed real estate, it's 10 times more work. Because it's hard to show it. the appraisals are going to come in low, inspections are going to nail everything. Like, they just sign up for a ton of work. Well, if we can show them how to not even list it, get paid way more than they would anyways, and call us, now they're excited about going on appointment.
Right.
Opportunity.
A huge opportunity.
Untapped opportunity.
Now they look for it.
Yes.
Now they market for it.
The other thing I took from that too is how you kind of coached her, say how to present it.
Yeah.
As we're going to cover that, right?
Yeah.
It's like, don't tell him the 285.
Yeah.
Say that my buyer is willing to pay for their thing. Is that good with you? And then bring the 278. You're like, genius, right? Because it's like almost planting a seed where she's like, it's like your idea, but I want you to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I coach agents on how to do their job well.
Yeah.
So what I want her to do is go to him and say, 278, don't worry about their commission. But it may not matter, and she needs to make that call, but I would not give them both options, because if you give them both options, neither one of them, they're both the same. So what value did that bring? What you want to do is you want to say, hey, they're at 278, but don't worry about the commission. And then in his mind, he's like, oh, I just got a value add because I don't have to pay the buyer's commission, even though in reality, we just factored it into the number.
Yeah.
They don't feel that.
They don't feel that. All they feel is, oh, this is great. I don't have to pay the commission.
Right. They see the number that's actually coming into their bank account. Is
the art of the deal.
Yeah. I'm curious if I think it's 5% is right, because they said that this guy is a banker or whatever, so he does numbers. I'm sure he would that out there.
But on that aspect too, when she said that, I thought of the upside of that. If he's a banker, he might see the benefit of carrying some of his equity because of what he'll make on the back end.
Maybe, yeah. It just depends on, do they want all that cash now for their next thing,
Right.
retirement or whatever, or would they be okay to carry it without having to deal with tenants?
Right.
So the only benefit for them to do seller financing would be we don't have to deal with tenants anymore, because they already know how to make cash flow on the property.
Right.
Why would they do seller financing if they don't get their money? They're getting a payment every month. Well, our payment's going to be way lower than the rental payment.
Right.
So the only benefit would be no headache.
Right. And then at what point?
There's a small chance that that's what they want.
And how much of the tax incentive or the tax savings do you try to?
I mean, they've owned it forever, so I doubt they're in that high tax.
Right. Gotcha.
How about property gains tax or anything on this?
I doubt. I mean, they've owned it 20 years.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, so they've already depreciated it all out.
Right. Makes sense.
You know, so sometimes that's a big deal.
Right.
Like I did another deal here in Kalispell, and the seller would only sell it on seller finance because he didn't want to pay the tax.
Right. And I know that's a huge deal to some people. So if you can kind of position that to where they get it, then
you just got to uncover that. Like she said, no, they want to retire. No, they're looking to cash out.
Right.
So we throw that seller financing out there, and we want her to offer that just in case. But what she's communicating to us is that they want cash. They want to just get done with it. Yeah. Which is a lot of sellers. I mean, but we still offer it. But I never offer the terms. I want the agent to first tell the seller, are you open to this? And then say yes, and then we explore it. Because the last thing we want to do is spend a bunch of time figuring out a create a finance offer, and the seller's not even interested in that. Right.
Right.
That's a waste of time.
Yeah.
Have you
So
found?
everything in this business is developmental. Like I want to do the least amount of work first, and then maybe do a little bit more work, and then a little bit more work. Right. Like I'm not calling cash buyers yet.
Yeah. This is what I carry with me all the time. There's a common method we do all the time called seller financing, where I would buy the property from you at a higher price, but rather than getting a new loan to pay off in full, instead you actually become the bank for me. Isn't that pretty cool?
Yeah, that's your scripting to explain
So,
that.
But
This guy gets it. Like this is a long-time investor. He did a 1031.
Right.
He knows his real estate.
Right.
Anyone who's doing 1031s and owns properties for 20 years, they know what seller financing is. They know what terms are. They know what contingency. Like if this was a retail owner, then we'd have to dumb everything way down.
Sure.
But it's an investor, so we're not dumbing anything down.
Yeah.
Right. We don't need to. We can just get right to it. So if she comes back and she says, he's open to your seller finance, what would that look like? Then we don't need to educate the agent on that. We don't have to say that.
Yeah, okay.
We're just going to give her our terms.
Yeah, the reason why I said that is because I've learned from you in that area. I picked it up in there.
Yeah.
And it just come to memory. That's the same thing you're saying right here. I mean, it's repetition is what you're doing. You know, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know, because once you get it, it's just repetition.
Oh yeah. If you put the reps in, then that becomes natural. Just becomes second nature.
Yeah. It's like,
you don't need a script anymore. You don't need, it just rolls, and and then you're asking the questions at the right time in the right order.
I want to thank you so much, Jerry, for coming out and
this was
being
fun.
with me on this property today.
I hope you guys learned a lot. That was good.
Immensely. I mean, it's funny. You can watch all the videos. I mean, I watch your videos, right? I take nuggets from them, but to actually see it live and watching it, like,
Isn't that cool?
And I'm picking up as you're doing it. Look, there he is. He's doing
time.
doing that. So
That's how you learn. Listen, watch, and then ask questions like, why did you do that? Why did you do that?
Yeah.
Everything I did in there was strategic. Like the whole thing.
absolutely,
It was all for a very specific reason.
absolutely.
So you just thinking through that all the time when you're doing that. Awesome.
I think
Good.
my hard part was just going like this. He's got this. I'm gonna sit back and I don't want to interrupt.